Good afternoon, everyone. It's Coram and Shreve here with a breakdown of the action in today's session, Thursday, February 1st, where we saw a bounce for stocks after Wednesday's Fed-fueled sell-off, Ken. And we've got more big earnings reports after the close that could impact Friday's action.
No doubt about it. And we got that all-important jobs report too on Friday. But yeah, we had some pretty harsh selling in the market Wednesday after the Fed meeting, but nice percentage gains today. I want to talk about two stocks that gapped up powerfully on earnings in the solar group Nextracker. Also want to take a look at Ferrari. Ticker there is RACE. Nextracker is NXT, I believe. And then Appfolio, real estate software firm APPF, another stock that gapped up on earnings recently and is really holding gains well.
All right, sounds like a plan, Ken. We'll get to those stocks, but first let's take a look at the major indexes. The Nasdaq today up 1.3%, the S&P 500 up almost that much as well, and the Russell 2000 up 1.1% today, the Dow up almost 1%. So we do have a bounce here for the Nasdaq right at that 21-day moving average that we keep an especially close eye on when the stock market is in such a strong uptrend.
Yeah, and we really haven't seen a whole lot of distribution in this index. When you look at yesterday, that sharp drop down to the 21-day line, it came in, pretty heavy volume, heaviest volume for a down day in several weeks, it looks like. But so that's a good example of what a distribution day looks like. And we did have a rally today in lighter volume, but in the end, Ali, we're just looking at so many stocks acting well out there. So we can get a bad day in the index, but even yesterday during the sell-off, our leaderboard model portfolio, we really didn't do hardly anything at all because all of our top performing stocks were holding their 10-day lines or holding above short-term support levels. So just didn't really see any sell signals yesterday. I think it's too late to give up on this uptrend, but it was certainly encouraging to see the gains today after the sell-off on Wednesday.
It sure was. And now let's turn our attention to the S&P 500. Didn't even come down to its 21-day line and saw a pretty strong bounce here today. So if you look at the weekly gain, we've now reversed higher for the week. It's an outside week. And who knows, Ken, maybe there's a magnet to that 5,000 level for the S&P.
Yeah, could be. I think the market is acting just fine here. It's been a big move up from that low of around 4,100 or so. So many up weeks in a row and only one down week that I could see. So that's given the bulls, kind of thinking, well, maybe the market is ready to come in here. There's a lot of extended stocks out there, but again, you have a day like today, and you get some good earnings movers in after hours from and it looks like Amazon and Meta, and this uptrend looks like it could have more left.
Yeah, we're going to get Ken's quick take on those big tech earnings here in just a bit. But now let's take a look at the Dow. So blue chip stocks also powering higher today, finding support at the 10-day moving average, Ken.
Yeah, and the blue chips have been outperforming. You can see even during the selling yesterday, it didn't even come down and touch its 10-day moving average. So the Dow is back up near all-time highs. May even be another all-time closing high today. Looks pretty close. So just encouraging action today in the market. It looks like we're going to get higher volume at last check, higher volume on the NYSE, and maybe lower volume on the Nasdaq. So maybe a little bit of accumulation, at least on the NYSE today.
Good to know. And let's take a look at the Russell reversing higher right at the 50-day line today.
Yeah, I mean, that was a pretty bad drop yesterday for the small cap index, but this is, the second time this index has come down to that red line, the 50-day moving average, and found support. So very encouraging action from small caps as well.
Yeah, and let's take a look at the 10-year Treasury yield because we are continuing to see yields deteriorate after hitting some resistance just under that 4.2 level.
Yeah, you had the bond yields really plummet yesterday. That was partly due to that sell-off in shares of New York Community Bancorp. They're the bank that bought the assets of Signature Bank, which shuttered back in early 2023. So bond yields under a lot of pressure yesterday, and under even more pressure today. But we have to remember that Jerome Powell yesterday at the Fed statement kind of insinuated that the Fed is, they're likely going to start cutting rates or raising rates this year, but they're
Cutting
not
rates?
going to cutting rates this year, but the market was thinking they were going to do it in March, but so they're going to cut, but the market is still kind of figuring out when it's
The
going to
timing,
happen,
yeah,
the timing of it, yeah,
right.
and so we'll see, but that's why bond yields are under pressure. If the Fed's not in a rush right now I don't know why I keep screwing that up.
Ease, ease,
Cutting, yeah,
yeah.
easing
Well, we
rates,
got
yeah.
so used to raise, raise,
I
raise
know,
for so
raise.
long. Goodness,
Yeah.
I mean,
So anyway, so yields are under pressure, and I think a lot of that is just the tone from Jerome Powell yesterday.
yeah. Exactly. Okay. Well, we'll keep tabs on that, but we do want to move on to take a look at some earnings movers. Here's a look at NXT, up almost 25% today, Ken. Some pretty heavy volume, and it looks like a strong close for this solar stock as well.
Yeah, I mean, this company has a pretty unique business in the solar group. There's a lot of damaged stocks in the solar group, but Nextracker is in this nice niche. They make solar trackers, which are basically the racks that help solar panels kind of pivot and follow the sun. So it helps these big solar farms operate more efficiently, making sure they're getting the most use out of the sun. So the earnings, you can see, really nice acceleration from the prior quarter. We always like to see that revenue up 38%. They also gave very strong guidance. So obviously, this is a stock that you don't want to chase after such a big move. However, this is still fairly early in the run here. You can see it doesn't have a big trading history. So again, you get some tight closes near highs. Maybe you get another opportunity to get in here. But this stock looks like it still could be in the early stages of a run, and they're really firing on all cylinders fundamentally. So good one for the watch list. Just like race that we're going to talk about. So keep this one on the watch list and look for an alternate entry.
Yeah. Let's go to race Ferrari breaking out of a base on earnings, up over 12%. Really heavy volume here too, Ken. I mean, highest volume, it looks like, in well over a year as this stock clears a 372 and change entry.
Yeah, I mean the metrics looked okay. You can see that earnings and sales are kind of slowed down from the third quarter. So when you see slowing growth like that, typically not a great sign. But I think the other news today was that Lewis Hamilton, who formerly drove with Mercedes, he's going to come over to the Ferrari team, which has got a pretty good Formula One team in going here. So I think investors like the sound of that news as well, because you look at the deliveries for the company. Deliveries to the Americas, they were up 6%, less than 1,000 vehicles, but pretty Hong Kong, China, pretty weak with deliveries down 25% there. So, but it was an earnings beat, and better than expected. So another stock that made such a powerful move and held those gains virtually all day just really tells me that there's a strength and support here. So similar to Nextracker, put it on your watch list and see if you can get an alternate entry here.
Yeah, I can. And I just want to underscore the news here today outside of the earnings that you just mentioned, only because Alexis Garcia on the IBD team is a Formula One fan, and she was very shocked by this Lewis Hamilton news with him going to Ferrari racing for Ferrari starting in the 2025 season. So it's a widely followed sport. And so there's a lot of attention on that as well. But like you said, when you get this kind of price and volume action, definitely one for the radar.
Yep,
And
no doubt.
let's round things out with a look at Appfolio. This is APPF. A big move out of a base on earnings last week, and now holding nicely right above last week's highs.
Yeah, I mean this is a very very liquid stock, and maybe not a widely known name among enterprise software stocks. Again, cloud-based software for mostly the real estate market. But again, another situation where you've got huge earnings increases in recent quarters, and you have revenue growth that has been picking up the pace in recent quarters. So looks like a couple quarters of accelerating revenue growth. So again, a stock that made a huge move on earnings, but when you look at the daily chart and just how the market is treating this stock, it is really trading tightly, holding up near highs. So you get price action like this, it can often move sideways, and that paves the way for maybe another upswing here. So three stocks that have gapped up and think have more potential, especially when a good market uptrend here. So all three of these stocks, could have a little more left. You just want to wait for a little sideways consolidation.
Okay, Ken, thank you for that analysis. Now we've got to turn to the earnings results from Meta and Amazon in particular out after the close. Let's first go to Meta. This is a leaderboard stock, and Ken, shares now up over 12% here. The early reaction to earnings here, looking at the numbers, earnings came in at $5.33 a share. Some estimates pegged the bottom line number at $4.96 a share. So a pretty big beat there. Also a beat on revenue. Your take?
Yeah, I mean, this is it's been a big winner for us in the leaderboard model portfolio. This stock first joined the leaders list in March 2023. We've kind of been trading around the position, but this was interesting because we also have Novo Nordisk, and earlier this week we didn't really have a big profit cushion. It was a relatively new addition to the leaderboard model portfolio, and we decided to trim the position just because we were only up about 2% or so. We wanted just to minimize our risk, and so we cut the position down. It ended up soaring on earnings, but we basically followed just a basic rule. But with Meta, since we first started buying it in March 2023, we just have a sizable profit cushion. So even if there was an earnings downdraft, we still have enough of a profit cushion to sit through a normal pullback. So
Right.
and that is why we decided to hold on to the half position. It's the third highest weighted stock in leaderboard right now, so we're thrilled to see it up as much as it is. I have to go into the report and see. Numbers are obviously great, and we'll have to get the details.
And with its heavy weighting in the indexes, I mean, this could be good for the tech sector,
No
uh,
question.
good for the Nasdaq. We'll have to see what happens tomorrow. And then we also want to look at Amazon. This was the other report out after the close. Not up as much as Meta, but 5% or so, 4.5% gain after hours. Nothing to sneeze at here with this big tech company too beating earnings. EPS of $1, beating 80-cent estimate, revenue of 170 billion, also beating estimates. Ken, and full disclosure, I own this one.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. A lot of the Magnificent Seven stocks were getting knocked because they've been rallying so much into earnings that, well, maybe the market priced in a lot of good news, and it's just only a matter of time before they sell the news. Doesn't look to be happening. I mean, really, the only weak earnings report that we got in the Magnificent Seven was Google earlier in the week, but looks like these numbers from Amazon and Meta were even better than the brightest of expectations. So we're good to see it, and that would likely lift Nasdaq 100
Mhm.
futures.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So now, as we turn our attention to Friday, not only will the market be digesting this latest batch of big tech earnings, but we've also got the jobs report, which you mentioned, Ken.
Yeah, super strong. We know the job market is very very tight, and there's still a lot of job availability openings out there, and just not enough people to fill them. So we'll have to see. It's hard to say how the market is going to react to it. It used to be bad news was good news. Now it might just be good news is good news. But we've had a pretty good string of healthy jobs reports. We'll see what the numbers look like tomorrow, and we'll see if that 10-year Treasury yield is going to start to firm up because boy, investors have been buying bonds in spades over the past couple days.
That they have. Okay, well, we'll be watching closely tomorrow morning, and we hope everyone joins us on IBD Live as we break down all the action in the first hour and a half of the trading session. Investors.com/IBD Live for all the details on that. We'll be joined by Leif Sereda. He'll be making his return to the program, former U.S. investing champion. So looking forward to seeing how he's handling these earnings movers and overall conditions at this time. So we'll see you there in the morning, investors.com/IBD Live for the details. And we'll also see you right back here after the close to wrap up the week. See you then.